Hey guys! Whoppa! Look out! Wrecked him, hell, damn near killed him. You know, it's got both. It's got me ga 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 la 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 la. But wow, guys, we're learning all about motorcycle batteries. Isn't that exciting? How does that make you feel, boy?
Welcome to Smoke Shop.
I wanted to go for a motorcycle ride. Basically, twice now I've gone to start the motorcycle and the battery's been dead. So we have a parasitic drain. So what we're going to do right now is hook up the trickle charger and get a charge on this battery. I'm sorry, I'll stop. Unless y'all like drone mode. Comment below if you enjoy drone mode. Anyhow. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. 10.2. That ain't right. This thing should be sitting probably at least 13 volts, I would say. 12.8, something like that. So we've got to remove the seat to get to the battery. This is all custom, what we're about to see here. So I'm going to go back and get the tripod and then come back over here and set you up and let you see. There are other videos on this motorcycle. I will try to remember to leave a link. This is a TaoTao Motors Tbr7, which is their 250 Enduro. I scored this bike super cheap on Marketplace by a person who is now something of a friend of mine that I guess he was just kind of burnt out on it. It had a couple small issues, but the reality is if you look in the other video, you'll see what it looked like new. And this thing's customized and upgraded, and like I said, he sold it to me super cheap, and then we went and had a beer and met up at the tax collector's office to get it all in my name because he hadn't even done that. It was still on a manufacturer's certificate of origin. But I worked out all the bugs, and man, I love this thing. It's fun. It's a perfect little runabout. I wouldn't mind having something more powerful, don't get me wrong, but should probably turn on the studio lights, huh? Maybe they're too much. Comment below. 15,000 calls to action in this video to make up for all the ones I've forgotten. La 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 la. This is the battery. It's a gel battery, and it is laid on its side, which you can do with gel batteries. This battery box is completely custom. The starter solenoid is actually in here as well. And like I said, we need to figure out where the parasitic drain is. So the system is charging. There's no question about that. What we have, my theory once again, we have a parasitic drain, and what we have to do is find the source of the parasitic drain. A parasitic drain, for those of you who do not know what I am speaking of when I say parasitic drain repetitively over and over and over again, is something is drawing power from the battery when the motorcycle is turned off, and it should not have any draws on the electrical system. That, therefore, is draining the battery, while it should not be being drained. Hopefully that came clear. That, like a parasite sucking the juice out of something, is a parasitic drain. Bling. Green. Green. Okay, so we're 12 volt, we are 2 amps, and we are theoretically charging. So let's let that do its thing for a couple hours probably, and then we'll run some tests and see if we can figure out what the issue is here, because I like to be able to ride my motorcycle when I want to. I'm usually frustrated and want to take a break, which is why I want to ride my motorcycle. So pulling the motorcycle out, getting the keys and getting the helmet and the bike and the jacket and all that stuff and setting it up and turning the key on and having it go click at the best is even more frustrating. Now, I can kickstart this motorcycle no problem and still go for a ride. But I'm the type of person that when I see that the battery's dead, that changes my focus. I have taken it on a ride with the dead battery, but it's not as fun because I'm now uncomfortable and nervous about what's going on with the motorcycle. So I don't want to turn it off when I'm somewhere out in the middle of the woods and have it not start back up because the battery drained the rest of the way or something. I don't know if this thing will start with a completely dead battery as far as kickstarting. I haven't done that research. I know my motor scooters will. My old Yamaha XS650 absolutely would not. You could not run that thing without a battery. Usually alternators need to have some sort of voltage in order to excite the alternator. Anyhow, blah, blah, blah. Bye! That solid green light means we're finally charged. This is a 2 amp battery charger and maintainer, and actually does seem to condition the battery. By that, what I mean is the computer circuits, artificial intelligence, no, I don't know. The computer inside, the internal computer, actually diagnoses the battery and kind of tests it with different voltages and just sort of sprinkles on some voltage. Little bits at a time. And then as it realizes that the battery's feeling a little bit better, it kind of just pours a little bit more in there. And like I said, this literally was a 3-day process. 2-day process, I believe. Activate drone mode. Voltage monitor. Activate. 12.5. Hey, gang, where are you? Hey, you're over there now, and over there. Whoa! Multiple camera angles. This does not compute. I'm probably going to want these, actually. Anyhow, presuming that you can see, I've already shown you the voltage, but we're going to utilize my new Centec CC300, which is one of the Harbor Freight auto ranging meters. I bought it because my other meter I keep in my truck and it's getting kind of old. It was the original clamp style meter from Harbor Freight that I don't think anybody expected to last very long, and I've had mine for 10 years or more, well over 10 years. Anyway, let's get hooked up here. 12.86 is what we're looking at. 12.86. Presuming that you can see that, I'll wiggle it a little bit. Anyhow, 12.86. However, what we're going to do is we're going to test for a parasitic draw. Once we confirm that there is a parasitic draw, as opposed to just a weak battery with a dead cell possibly, which we'll also test for, we need to try and identify where the parasitic draw is. That's going to be a little bit more complicated with a small motorcycle than it is with a car, using my hand, pointing a lot. Simply because in a car, what you can do is pull individual fuses and identify which circuit is the amp draw. You may not have any idea what I'm talking about now, but by the end of this video you will. With this wiring in a motorcycle, there's really only one fuse that protects the main power circuit. So what I have to do is chase this issue via individual circuits. So we're going to see what we can see. See ya. What we're going to do now that we have disconnected the charging system, disconnected. I'm just going to grab the nearest screwdriver instead of looking for a specific one. The way that we're going to test for a parasitic drain is from the ground side. We're going to disconnect the ground wire from the bike. What I'm not concerned about is disconnecting the meter, which is what this other wire is. What I do not want to do is lose this screw. Anyhow, this is the black or ground cable from the primary wiring harness of the motorcycle. We're going to take this white wire. Why? Because it's white. No, not because it's white. Because it's a wire that I have. Test lead. Now then, I'm going to connect this to the ground of the battery, the negative terminal of the battery. Connecting it to that. It is now connected to the negative terminal of the battery. The other end of that test lead, I am going to hook to one of the leads of my meter. Now then, since we're working with the ground circuit and not the power circuit, we're not really as concerned about the possibility of that touching something. Now then, the other end of my meter, the other lead of my meter, I'm going to connect to the ground circuit of the wiring harness. I think you're starting to see, hopefully, what we're doing here. So we're going to take one end of the test lead and connect it to the ground circuit of the motorcycle. Then whatever lead you still have free on your meter is going to get connected to the other end of that test lead. What that does is put your meter in line of that circuit. If you don't understand what I'm saying at this point, you probably shouldn't be messing around with this stuff, frankly. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn our power switch. Sorry, I've never used this setting on this meter, so I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Well, 20 amps would be plenty. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this to the 20 amp range of the power switch being on. And this claims that there is no parasitic drain whatsoever. It also says AC, though. Right. I may not be able to do that with this meter. I'm going to go see if I can grab my other meter and see if it has any different settings and go from there. Be right back. Hey guys and ladies, as it turns out, I'm not at 0% women on my demographics any longer. So hello, ladies. Anyhow, what we have here is the new and amazing meter that I had to go buy because my existing meters did not have the range or function that I needed to do the test that I am trying to do. So, we're going to do a quick look at some meters. Man, that's a little messy. Well, I know it moved, but maybe it'll still be entertaining. So I mentioned it, and I'm sure you've seen it used in other videos if you are a regular viewer. This is the meter that I've been using for years, and it was a Centec. I'm trying to look to see if there's a model number that I can easily see. Yeah, it's all worn off. There are numbers there. I'm sure I could do some research and find out, but I'm pretty positive that it's discontinued. And I was going to buy another one when they were on clearance, and I probably should have because the price was so cheap. Excuse me. But anyway, this thing works great. and is small enough that it fits into my tool bag. I actually have a specific case for this. And I have utilized this meter for well over 10 years. And it's only time it ever gives me any issues when the batteries are dead, basically. Which usually happens. Oh, how about maybe a 96308? Derp-a-der. Anyhow, how about 96308? What was my point? So what we have is, let's see here, it's a 300 volt, so that would be one reason that I upgraded. But for most of the stuff that I use it for, this is plenty. However, as far as amp draw, which is what I'm trying to test for, this particular one is a clamp meter, but that's for AC. And all of the ranges available on here are for AC. When I went to replace this meter or to get a new meter, just because it was time to get a new meter, this one stays in my tool bag, in my truck. So I went several weeks ago to buy a new one. Instead of buying another one of those, since that one still functions, this to me looked like a better meter, and so I decided to upgrade. It's still an entry level as far as clamp meter and all that stuff. This is the CC300. However, it is a 600 volt versus this one, which was a 300 volt max range. I haven't even read the directions of this. I just have a basic comprehension of what it is and how to use it. So the few times that I've used it so far, which I think is in this video, it worked great. It's auto ranging in that you just set the function you want. It'll figure out where it needs to be. That's a little bit weird to me. It does have a light. So yeah, it's backlit. That's pretty cool. Again, auto ranging. It will hold, obviously, a reading. I don't know. I guess you actually have to be taking a reading. I don't like that it just sits there and bounces around all over the place, but I think that has something to do with the auto ranging. I mean, it gives a true reading, but yeah, I don't like that at all. I mean, I guess maybe there's 0.0, 0.6 of a volt floating around in the air of alternating current. That's very, very possible, actually. Terrifying. I want to go move to a log cabin. Anyhow, now back to the show. Again, this one, though it does have amps, both clamp and through the leads, we're looking at AC amps all the way across. So there's no DC amperage features on this meter. So I chose to go and upgrade. Since we're having good luck so far with Centec and we like matching things, I went and bought the 9-function digital multimeter with audible continuity. Both of these have audible continuity. Both of these cover most of the features that this one does. However, this one tests AC, DC voltage, DC current, and resistance, diode, capacitance, and audible continuity. What is my point? DC current. So we got up to 10 amps of testing. For my next trick, I'm going to remove the meter from the package, preferably without cutting myself. This meter is more capable than these. It was also more expensive. Never leave a razor blade open on your table. That's just ridiculous. It's a good way to get cut. So here's our brand new CM300. So we have a CC300, a CM300, and a 96308. Again, that one I believe has been discontinued. I definitely like already... Oh, does it have a... It does. It has a kickstand too. I like that a lot. So yes, I like the kickstand. Again, I have utilized for years the clamp to hang from a wire nearby or something like that. But if you're working somewhere with a flat surface, that's super handy because I can now test things and glance over and see the screen pointed at me. That's good stuff. So that's my meter collection. We're going to be utilizing this one today. Once I get it all batteried up, basically I'm just grabbing the edge, running my thumb around it, and pushing out from the back. Much like you've all removed the case from your cell phone. Yeah, somebody had arthritis or anything like that, any worse than mine is, that's a battle. Well, we're going over tools. Milwaukee, what is that, a 4-way? 6-way? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 6-way. I guess. Anyway. Carefully removed. Carefully removing. Anyway, I like this little guy a lot. He's got the teeny tiny little guys. Yeah, he's cool. Portable 4-in-1. So AAA batteries, huh? Okay. So one of the things I did not like about this one is that it uses a flat button cell battery, which I don't think you can get those in rechargeable. AAAs I can totally get in rechargeables. I utilize rechargeable batteries. I suggest everyone do the same instead of throwing away batteries all the time. Rechargeable batteries are pretty cool. Comment below if you'd like me to actually go do an in-depth multimeter video. It would involve me doing a bunch of research because I'm no multimeter expert. I'm not an electrician. I know enough to get me into trouble, or to keep me out of trouble, really. Don't get me wrong. I played with some pretty high voltage stuff doing HVAC. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to get that on right. You know, capacitance, resistance, and stuff like that, I don't know much other than continuity. Voltage. We're going to learn about amperage today. But anyway, like I said, comment below if you'd like me to go into an in-depth deep dive on multimeters. And once again, we'll learn together. Okay, we're going to utilize our brand new meter. Common is going to be your black lead. Normally, you're going to have your red lead over here for voltage, continuity, and everything else. We're going over here because it is a fused 10 amp circuit. And as we've already gotten this all set up, we're going to hook this in line. We're looking for amperage. We're going to go all the way up to 10 amps. You can always go down, but I think you blow up your meter if you go to the wrong place, especially in a positive situation. We are doing the negative. We're doing the ground. Let's utilize our little kickstand and get it to where we can both see what's going on. Oh yeah, you're good there. Let's see what's going on there, eh? We are on DC. Again, we're at the 10 amp range. When I click this on, what do we see? Nothing. Okay, I'm gonna go find the keys. They should be right here. Okay. That was weird. Oh yeah, I'm willing to bet that this battery has a dead cell in it, which sucks because it's not that old, but I'm sure it's out of warranty. As soon as I turn the headlights on, oh yeah, this thing's got issues, y'all. So right now we are drawing 0.06 amps. What I want you to see is what happens when I turn the headlights on. It basically made that reset, which means that there's a low voltage or something. When I turn the high beams on, it does it again and barely flickers back to life. Oh yeah, horn doesn't even honk. This battery's fucking toast again. 9.2. This battery's got a dead cell in it. Anyhow, so much for our amp draw test and parasitic draw. I don't really see a parasitic draw on here. What I see is a dead cell. And another symbol of that is the fact that we are now back up to 11.4 volts. But if I honk the horn, oh, now we honk. Oh, headlights are off. Now the whole meter just reset. That was funny. Oh yeah, this thing's toast, dude. Back up to 11. Yeah, this thing's got a dead cell in it. Well, that's irritating and frustrating and leaves me dead in the water because I'm not about to order a battery for this thing right now, I don't think. I'll have to check my finances. Because frankly, I'm not kidding when I say I don't have a big budget. Which reminds me, if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, because that's what helps me grow this channel and eventually hopefully get monetized so we can actually get a budget and have some fun. Because if I had a budget, I could just run out and grab a battery. I don't have that kind of a budget, even though this is a cheap battery, relatively. Although I think I've learned my lesson on the cheap battery purchase. I got to look into this thing, see if it's possibly under warranty. It's not. It's 2 years or at least a year. It's over a year old. Anyway, I'll get back to you in a little while. I went ahead and hooked up the load tester. Now, a motorcycle battery does not have a whole big lot of cranking amps. And this range here that's green, the lowest part of it is 200 amps. I don't know what the cranking amps are, but it's not going to be much. But either way, it shouldn't be way down here, which I'm pretty confident is where it's going to be. Yeah. When I put that load on there, it dims out everything. So, basically, I'll put a link to the other video on the difference between a good battery and a bad battery on a load test, even on a motorcycle. We can go check the other one real quick, see if it happens to still have a charge in it. Wow, guys, we're learning all about motorcycle batteries. Isn't that exciting? This, folks, if you haven't seen it, I believe on the title it's actually a 71. Yamaha DS7. And I'm going to try and do this one-handed YouTuber style. Oh, all right, we got our positive hooked up. Hooking up the negative. Hooking up the negative. Look at that. We've got over 12 volts. That's a proper electrical system. It ain't doing nothing. It's just sitting here. It's got a connection. It's good. Yeah, we're well over 12, pushing 13. When I hit this, see how it's just went down a little bit? It didn't go all the way down into the bad range. Again, this range is, the swing is made more for like a car. Higher amps. Anyhow, I would imagine if you made it this far into the video, you have some clue of what I'm talking about. Basically, long story short, this battery is crap. I don't know why. The only thing that I can think of is that possibly I did not condition it when I first got it and I threw it right into the bike. Unintentionally possibly destroying it. I will have to look in. Oh, it's mad at me because I left it on. He made little beeping noises. He's like, "Hi, dude, you gotta turn me off, man. I'm gonna die." That's cool. I wonder if it auto offs. I don't know, but it manually offs, and I offed it. That explains a lot, though. That was the other possibility that was bouncing around in my head. I kind of expected it to have a parasitic draw, but it didn't show one at all. And then once we started powering things up is when it started acting funny. Overnight, 2 a.m., 2:30 in the morning, this thing showed up, and yes, it's a new battery. Here we go. I don't know who made this box, but it's not square. So there. Chrome Pro Line. Motorsports iGel battery. Recreational. 7 lbs. There's something else in there. Register for your warranty. By the way, one of the things that made me buy this one was the fact that I believe it has a 2-year warranty, which our last battery only had a 1-year warranty. If it had had a 2-year warranty, it would still be under warranty. It also has this cool screen. We push a button, it says 12.77, so it's theoretically full. Can you even see that? You can now, for sure. So, yeah. 12.6. 12.76 volts. And you want to do a load test on this puppy? Just to see what it does? Of course you do. Yep. Okay, so. Red to red, theoretically, or you'll be dead. What, said Fred? Okay. Look at that. It's almost 12.5 volts, just like it says. Now, if we hit a load on it, yeah, see? Our other batteries are like down here somewhere. So, first we're going to make sure that the key's off. Now, if we're real lucky, this thing fits right in here without any modification other than maybe having to slide some of that back. Yeah. I think we're going to be just fine. And battery terminals, yeah, you don't want to break them, but you want them nice and snug. Because loose is what creates corrosion and bad connections and all that. So, let's get this party started. Because I gotta go here soon. I got other things I got to do. Illuminate. Do I have a tail light? I do have a tail light. My concern right now is making sure nothing is sitting on the exhaust pipe. Pulling up the choke. Making sure we're in neutral, and hitting the start button. Good, that's what I wanted to know. Oh, we don't have any gas, of course, so that's important. Got to turn the gas on. That's what we want. Cool. .3. I didn't want to carbon monoxide poison us. Carbon monoxide poisonous. That's true. Carbon monoxide is poisonous. So again, 12.4. So I believe what we're going to do is, like I said, I've got something else I need to do here for a couple hours. And then maybe we'll go for a quick ride later. And make sure this thing charges up and etc., etc., etc. Anyway, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye. Let's see what happens if I put the seat on. There we go. I'm just going to take this thing on a quick run just to kind of confirm that the charging system is working and that voltage is going to increase. I am normally pretty adamant about wearing a helmet, but I'm literally just going to run up the end of my street and back just to confirm that we're charging. I don't know how the sound is with the wind, or if it's even going to work for very long once I ride away. I am on reserve, so I need to be mindful of that. And should crank right up. Alright, so I'm steady at 13 volts right now, if you can hear me. 13.2. So yeah, we're charging. It's not really warmed up right, but I'll be right back. I almost just whiskey throttled it on the way in. That's 14.2. Again, I don't know if the mic's even on. I don't know if you can see that at all. It's blinking probably for you. But it's floating around between 13.8 and 14.1 at that low idle. And again, I can idle it up somewhat. Yay! Hopefully I fixed it. Anyhow, I'm going for a ride and I'm not taking y'all with me. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.